Hey, welcome back to the channel, y'all. So, as you can probably tell from the thumbnail, got a question for you. Does your Fiero keep shutting off at random when you're going down the road? Does it keep usually eating ignition control modules? If so, it's probably your pickup coil, pit sensor, whatever you want to call it, that's inside the distributor. And yes, you can buy a new one of those and rebuild your distributor, but for not much more money, you can just buy a whole new distributor, which is of a better design. So that's what this video is going to be about. We got a new distributor come in, and I'm going to be going over how to take the old distributor out and properly mark where the timing is so that you can get a good close approximation when you put the new distributor in, so you don't have to adjust the timing too far. So stay tuned. I'm going to be going over what tools I'm going to be using. I'll actually film that after I'm done to make sure I get everything. So we'll cut into that right now. Okay, so let's go over what you needed. So 13mm socket extension with the ratchet. I used an impact, but ratchet would have done the job just fine. That was to get the coil off. A Phillips head. I just used an 11-way part, the 11-way stuff that came in my toolkit that I keep in the car. That's to get the distributor cap off. To get the distributor out, you needed a 15mm socket. I would recommend a swivel and another extension to give you room to work. I did pull the ignition module off, and if you have the factory bolts, it's a 5.5mm socket or a 7/32 socket. The new one has a Phillips head on it, but if you pulled all the vacuum lines out, you could, I suppose, get it in and out without taking the ignition module off. That pretty much covers getting the distributor in and out. Also recommend a magnet, a marker or paint pen, or grease pen to mark where your timing was, where the rotor was in relationship to the distributor. And then to set the timing, you're going to need a paper clip or one wire to jumper, the ALD ports I discussed, and T15 Torx bit. Again, came in the 11-way, with the 11-way, and that I keep in the car. That's pretty much all the tools you need to change out a distributor on a Fiero GT. So, let's get going. Okay, so if you're at all worried about battery discharge or anything like that, one of the first things you'll want to do if you're real careful is disconnect your battery. It's not really that crucial in my opinion on this job, but hey, to each their own. I believe I grabbed too big of a Phillips for this side. So first thing I like to do, I'm going to do is get the cap out of the way. You need a Phillips head or think an 8mm, not sure. I usually just use a Phillips head. Okay, I'm gonna pop these screws out because they can fall. And I'm just gonna set the cap out of the way. So, one important thing to note is the relationship between the rotor and the cap. That is the most important thing you need to get close to the same. So in order to do that, there's a number of different ways you can do it. Because it actually, if it's timed a different way, I could show it on the distributor's out, but because this is timed how it is, I am simply going to take a marker on the ignition control module and mark the ignition control module. I'm going to get here so I can get directly over it. There. So, you see where I marked it with green paint pen, which lines up with that. You would want to do that no matter where it's rotated. And then what you do is you mark the same spot on the new distributor. That way the rotor is pretty close. You're still going to probably have to adjust the timing when you put the new one in, but that's not that big of a deal. So once that's out the way, I'm going to go ahead and unplug the coil wire. Basically just unhooking the connectors, and I'm going to be replacing some of these actually because they're very old and brittle. In fact, half of these connectors don't have their clips anymore. This one, see, neither one of the sides have the clip. Because you need to get it out the way in order to make room for the 2 bolts that hold on the coil, which, my flashlight here, right on either side of the coil. There's 2, I believe, 13mm bolts to hold the coil on, and you're moving the coil out of the way just to make room and make it easier on yourself. So when the coil's out, and you got much easier access to the distributor nut or bolt and clamp. So let me get my okay, so I don't know that I'm going to be able to get to where y'all can see the actual angle, but you saw where it's at, kind of get the gist. You got a 15mm. I like to put a little wobble swivel socket on it. Alright, she went free and fell to the ground. No big deal. me make sure I can find it. One point I would like to point out, anytime you're working around the Fiero, is have a magnet of some kind, because there's a lot of small spaces that the bolts and nuts and stuff can fall down into. Now, once I get all this stuff out the way, I should be able to just, there we go. Now, the control module's kind of in the way. Yeah, it's interfering. Okay. That's unfortunate. Look and see if there's a way I can spin this that lets me coolant tubes are right in the way. Or maybe not this way. This is just a little tight. I'm pretty sure this is the original distributor. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and pull the ignition control module out. But I need to get a 5.5mm socket for that, so I will be right back. Okay, I didn't have any luck finding my 5.5mm socket, but luckily I have 7/32, which also works. So just use that. And I'll just see if I can't move this out the way. There we go. Like that. Alright, it's fighting me. Just go ahead and take this off, because this is no good. It got burned up. There we go. Okay. So, as you can see, this thing is toast. It's hot, it's got stuff in it. It's just not in good condition. And as you can see, even if it were running, you're not getting a lot of good contact because this thing is rusty. Plus, it's an older style that they revamped and made better. Alright, so let me get the other one and I'll show you what I'm doing. Alright, so this is pretty much how the distributor came. It had some wrapping on it. I'm going to go ahead and take this distributor cap off. The reason I'm not gonna reuse this one because the other one I had was practically new, only had 1,000 miles or so on it. As you see, this is a completely different style, right? And this new one I like another little feature is it has Phillips head instead of those 5.5s or 7/32, so it's just that much easier. as you can see where I marked, I'm just going to simply mark that same spot. Like so. And that'll be within a degree or two. So, as you can see, I've also got a new connector wire and a new pigtail for the other wire because they were kind of chewed up. But let's get going. I'll move you back over and get this in. Okay, so I'm going to try to get this in without moving or removing the control module this time. I don't know if it's possible, but I don't think it's gonna work. Because I'd really like to avoid messing with that heatsink material. And again, it's been years since I've dealt with this, you know. Okay, so now because the tubes and everything are right in the way every direction you go, like the vacuum lines and stuff, there's really not going to be a way to get this thing in there. Because these vacuum lines are all metal, and I mean, I might be able to pop these vacuum lines off and move them out of the way. I don't know if I can move them enough to get it to feed. There we go. So obviously that's not right on the timing. But that pretty much is right there. So there you go. But that's a little off, and I don't really like that, so pop it back up a little bit. Now mind you, I had the timing pretty far advanced. So let's do this. Let's try and get it up. Move it a tooth. It ended up pretty much the same. This might take a little finagling. There, this is probably going to work out better. There we go. And I like it better because this actually lines up a little easier, so it'll be easier to get the connectors on out of the heat shield. So I'm going to take my bolt and bracket, feed it down in there. Attempt to anyway. And that's what happens. It falls. So this may take me several tries to get it in there because it is a tight space in there for it to get your hand in. So let me get that in there, then I'll be back. Okay, it only took one or two more tries. Now I'm not really gonna, that's about right. It's snug, but it's not too tight. Well, it can be tighter. Because you're gonna have to be able to move it. But what I'll do instead is hand get a ratchet and do this. And that way you can, it's snug, but it ain't gonna go anywhere. So I can go ahead and get this back on there. And get my EGR vacuum back on there. This connector. This is the connector I think I'm replacing. Let's see this piece of garbage. Go ahead and replace that guy. Now, what I'm going to do is, I know that's pretty well close enough. I'm going to go ahead and put the distributor back on, or the cap. Find my screws. Again, I'd say you want to have a magnet if you're working on these cars. Of course, it's not wanting to line up. Okay, now I'm going to hook up the coil, but I'm not going to bolt it in because it blocks most of the connection to the bolt to move the distributor. Man, these are tight. Okay. I'll fix this one later. For right now, that'll work. Okay. So let me get my ratchet so I can loosen that a little bit, and then I'm going to get the things I need to show you how to set the timing. So hang on. Okay, in order to set the timing, you got to set the car into diagnostic mode. Okay, you do that through the ALDL port, which is behind the cigarette lighter bezel. So pull out the cigarette lighter, and it's held on by two T15 Torx screws. Mine is actually broken, as you can see, so it doesn't really, stay on the driver's side very well. I'm going to work on that at some point, but not exactly huge priority right now. Now these washers, there are little washers on them too. So, then all you need is a paper clip, and you're going to jump the A and the B ports, which I don't even know if I'm going to be able to show this. Well, let me get it plugged in and I will try to I think that's in there. Okay. So you can kind of see, it's really hard to see. I'll throw up a schematic drawing right now. Okay. Right there. Okay. Getting a little pick-me-up from the lightning. But anyway, it's the way that you can tell if you got a good connection with the ALDL port is when you turn it on, it goes into diagnostic mode, the check engine light will come off and then blink, which tells you you're in diagnostic mode. So I'm gonna go off camera, try to start this thing and get ready to set up the timing light, because I'm not sure if it's gonna, let's just try and start it real quick. There we go. See, it's blinking real fast. Alright, so we're in diagnostic or test mode, whatever you want to call it. But I'm going to cut here and I'll be right back. Apologies, this is loud. The car's loud. Alright, so set up the timing light. Put the positive to the, put the battery terminals in where they go, and you hook up to the #1 plug wire, and then try to catch this. It's way down in there. I'll try to get a picture of it. I'll try to get a picture to throw up right here. Show you where it is. Looks like I still need to advance it some. Hang on 1 second. That's about where I like it. I'm going to attempt to tighten down the distributor. But then you got to check again. Okay, that's pretty where I like it. Now I'm gonna pull out the clip and you can watch. I took it out of diagnostic mode. it gets too hot, I'm gonna go ahead and shut it off so I can bolt the coil back on. Now, that probably means I'm gonna have to jump it off again in order to get it started, because obviously the battery is kind of full to drain. So it's already pretty hot in here. Glad I didn't take too long. You don't want to, you know, fool around with it, because it can get to be a pain once it gets hot. And again, no reason to have magnets, especially once this is hot. This one started, and I'll put the other one in. Get in there. Get in there. Problem with doing it with the magnet is this magnet tends to want to rotate on me. Nope, but I got it. Here we go. Now I'm going to get this wire out of the way. Well, we'll see if we can get it to start back up. I doubt it. We'll see. Yeah, probably not. Let this thing run for a while. It needs a charge. But anyway, that's pretty much a wrap for it. I'm not going to mess with redoing that connector right now. If you found this video at all helpful or enjoyable, please like, share, and subscribe. Constructive criticism is always welcome. However, this is a hobby. I'm not getting any money out of this. It's just whatever. So I'm not going to really entertain, you know, hate. So whatever. But if you did like it, please let me know. It does help give motivation. So as always, until next time, I'll be back.